Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. I am just so excited, always. Now, a weekly show. You can go to my website, totaltutor.net, for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, and Pinterest, Neil Haley. And the simulcast radio, television continues with 4 amazing guests the next 4 weeks. So you have to go to my website to check out more information or all the different social media. But I'm excited to welcome the program the CEO of the Urban League in Westchester County, Soraya Sampson. Soraya, thanks for calling and thanks for coming on the show.
Well, I thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Oh, we're excited to have you on the show today and really kind of get involved and learn about who you are, because of being involved with the Urban League, there's so much involved, especially in Westchester County. It's out in the New York, the state of New York area, and there's so much to do. But we want to learn a little bit about your story. So tell us a little bit of your background. Did you grow up in Westchester when you? Yeah.
I'm a transplant from the country of Trinidad and Tobago. I came to Westchester to White Plains at the age of 9, and I'm a product of the White Plains school system. So everything that you see is a public school girl.
Very interesting. Did you see service as part of your life at an early age?
Absolutely. I think I tried to get away from it because I was actually trying to do the corporate life, but it never worked out for me. From White Plains High School on, I started getting involved in social justice and in equity, and actually was involved in creating the first school-wide program around Black History Month.
Okay.
In the history of the school. So it started, I think, way too young for me to get away from it. It was always the calling. It was always where I was headed. And every time I thought I would do something else, it's where I ended up.
So did your family background keep you motivated, interested in like learning about history and being involved and successful in school? Was that education important for you in your family background?
Education was the most important thing. The most important thing in my family. For us, we came to America for an opportunity for the education and for the ability to, to grow, coming from a small island. It was always the ability to accept others that I learned from my family, and to try to work with everyone that I learned from my family. So it's been with me forever. History is important because we never shied away from looking at the news, from listening to politicians. My kids are the same way, they're history buffs.
Okay, great. So that's fantastic. So at an early age you did that, and your focus continued to when you graduated from high school. And is that pretty much how you knew, okay, where I'm going to go to college and stuff and what I'm going to major in based on what you were experiencing in high school and stuff?
Actually, my major in high school was economics and business management, which helps me here because one of the most important things is knowing what to ask for. And when you work for the community, you need to know what to ask for.
Exactly.
When I was in college is when I thought I would be doing something different than what I'm doing. And I ended up working for the Long Island Coalition, Minority AIDS Coalition, and I was the founding executive director. At that point in time, every time I tried to turn, it came back to social justice, it came back to disparities, and it came back to service. So I stopped fighting it after a while.
So involved in, you said, so you majored, you said, in economics in college then, correct?
Economics and management in college.
Yeah, economics and management in college. So what were you planning on doing? See, that's the interesting about education. We never know what happens in that, yeah.
I was planning on making money and working in corporate America. That was my goal. That's what I thought was my goal, but I think what you think you want to do and what your calling is are two different things sometimes, and sometimes
I agree.
You have to give it up to what the calling is.
I mean, you look at, a lot of times you see other people and say, oh, that's what I want to do. And then somehow, in my beliefs, Soraya, and my faith brought me to where I am today. And saying, oh, I'm still working with kids, yet when I was younger, I wanted to be an athlete, and then now all these things are mixing together, and it's just strange where you end up. But you said you wanted to make money, be involved in finance, but let's kind of talk about service, first of all. What kind of brought you back to that all the time? Even in college, it said, oh my gosh, I'm going in this area, in this direction. Were there any experiences in college that brought you to that point?
I think it was actually the seed that was planted in high school. The fact that I was always called upon to serve in every racially diverse committee. I was always the voice that was picked. And I think part of it is because I sort of looked non-threatening, and folks may have placed me there thinking that I would be. I was always placed on the Committee for Diversity everywhere I went. And I also was never afraid to speak for what I saw. But I was also, I think, maybe at that point a little too naive to understand that maybe I should have been afraid because other people were, but I never was, because I really didn't do it other than for the fact that it needed to be done.
And so what college did you attend? I forgot if you... Yeah.
Stony Brook University on Long Island.
In Long Island. Okay, so in Long Island. So did you kind of look at the cornerstone of New York City, Long Island, all those different places, and seeing how much, because you talked about the social justice portion of it. You know, you go in this major, you're looking, hey, maybe I'm going to work on Wall Street, maybe I'm going to do something like that. So when you were in those experiences, did you just see society and say, I think I have something else I want to do? Because, I mean, that's where I'm painting that picture to figure out someone in finance and economics and saying, okay, now I want to make the complete shift.
It is not a complete shift, because even when you do good work, you have to keep an organization going. I learned early on that you can actually make a living, use your career, use your skills, and make a difference. I also really I knew someone when I was in college, my first year of college, who was HIV positive.
Oh, wow.
And that was 26 years ago when we were beginning that struggle.
Yes.
So it was an easy leap for me to leave college and to choose the internship that I chose for my graduate degree in the field of HIV, because it was personal at that point. I knew someone, I saw the treatment, I understood it. And at that point in time, that was just a very easy decision for me.
It seems like in a lot of ways your experiences draw you closer, saying what you used in college you're doing today, because you can't be a president of an organization or a CEO and not be able to manage finances, be understanding what a budget is, understanding how leading a meeting. So a lot of your experience in college you still utilize today, and I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times we paint a poor picture for non-profs in so many ways, that, you know, the people that run them, you know, why didn't they work on Wall Street? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Soraya? So basically, that's not the case at all. It's basically you're seeing a cause, something that's very, very important to you, but yet they still need someone as knowledgeable and a great leader to be able to do that. And that's what we're talking about in the second segment. So from that experience, once you got involved in this, did they see someone as strength in you for sure once you got into your first job? Because they said, oh my, you really understand the ins and outs of finance and how to run things, but also you have this dedication, and that's so important.
Well, I think they did, and I'm glad that I stayed, and I am happy to get up every day to come to work. I love my job.
That's
I
great.
love the work that I do, and I sleep well at night with the work that I do, because I know every day I come to work, the people around me, the people that work for the Urban League of Westchester, they are happy to be here too, because we're all making a difference.
And that's the important thing for sure. In your experience working your first job, especially involving with an organization with HIV and AIDS, what do you think was your most powerful experience in that job that you learned so much from in a way, and to keep that passion going?
The most powerful experience is the one that I take with me wherever I go, and that is the power of coalition. The power of working in coalition with other individuals, with other organizations to make a change, and to not really be stopped by the folks who may not always see clearly your mission.
Right, exactly.
I think one of the lessons I learned early on over there was you do whatever is necessary and make as few enemies as you have to along the way to get the job done.
Making those few enemies is very important because of fundraising and different things. And in managing so many people, what do you think that being able to have that ability? Because how many CEOs are there in this world, or that what skill set do you think you gained from, I guess, growing up, that you're able to lead so many people? Because that's such an important thing. We want to train leaders in our schools in a lot of ways, not just workers. We want to have the next innovators in so many aspects.
I think I can think of a young man who I worked with on our latest event and our latest movement at Pace Law School. His name is Sean Sykes, and this kid is a law student over there, and he has a great future. And I see in him some things that I think is necessary. You know what it is you want to get done. There may be obstacles in your way, but you stand with the people who stand for your mission.
Yes.
And he worked with us all the way through. And if you stand for mission, there may be obstacles. Now, I didn't say make friends along the way. I said make as few enemies as necessary to get the work done. You keep your eye on mission all the way through, and you do what you need to do. And you work with the people the best way you can.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm just saying the folks around me, they believe in mission.
Right.
And so it's easy, easy most of the time, guiding the way.
And that's important. So the people that you hire for your organization, you look at people that have your same ideals, correct? That you want to work with on a daily basis that are helping in your whole mission with the organization, correct?
Absolutely. I try to hire based on the ability to work with individuals, to be people with skills, and as long as someone has the ability to learn, as long as they're visioning the same way you're visioning, you can train them. If they have the capacity to learn, you can train skills. You can train somebody's mindset, their compassion for their community, or their willingness to serve. They come in with that.
So key. If you're not able to find those right people to surround yourself with in an organization, you're going to fail in your mission, and then you're not going to stay in that job for a long period of time at all. So it teaches an important, a leader is, remember I told you about your dedication to service as one of my questions. To be a great leader is to be a servant and to serve others and not just expect others to do everything for you. So Soraya, when we get back, I want to go into some of the points of the Urban League. I have one question about your experiences in White Plains High School, especially with, working with that advocacy about having that real passion about helping kids, and how that really relates to your time now in the Urban League and what you're doing in Westchester County and what the Urban League's about, because some people don't understand exactly the organization. So we get back, you're watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and I'm enjoying this conversation with Soraya Sampson, CEO and president of the Urban League. And one thing she educated me on in the first segment is the fact that just because she's in a non-for-profit, she has to have a great financial background, understanding how to manage finances, understanding how to be such a great leader. And just because she's not in the profit sector does not mean that that she doesn't, she has the same skill set as somebody in the financial sector. So Soraya, one of the things I was checking in your bio was about White Plains High School and your experiences working around that. Was that after college, or was that already when you were working with the organization with AIDS, or is that the next step in your ladder all the way up to right now the Urban League?
Oh, the White Plains High School was while I was a student, so
Oh,
I
wow.
was
Okay.
16 years old. After that, in college, is when I began my work in AIDS. On a graduate level is when I began to work with the coalition, the Long Island Minority AIDS Coalition, and began working with that population.
And what do you see with the kids that they're lacking? Especially, I'm sure you're always constantly understanding what's happening in our public education system right now as a huge advocate for public education. And some of the things that are the poorest of the poor are not able to accomplish because of resources, different things. What did you learn in that experience?
Working with kids now more so than working with kids then, because right now at the League we're also servicing all of the homeless students living in the shelter facility. We provide their case management services and their advocacy for them. Working with kids in general, what you learn is that you need to guide help them guide with their star, help them see the star in front of them. I have children of my own, and what I'm finding with this particular generation is that they are not quite as focused on economic success, career success, educational success as we were. They are focused on happiness, which I value very much. Yeah. But at some point in time, my children have to get off my payroll. and so what I would like them to do is focus on careers that will get them off of my payroll.
Now, that's an interesting question, because we are seeing in society today, especially people that, Soraya, you I'm sure had some struggles in your life to get to where you are today, and now your kids have a sense of entitlement in certain ways, and you have to work on saying, by the way, you're going to have to work your way through this too. And to just at your home in general, in your household, being able to explain that to them and give them that motivation, but then also look at the children in poor settings and give them the motivation also to look for careers.
We work with all of the children in Westchester County who are homeless in the shelters, and what we do is let them know that the only way out of poverty is education and employment.
Yes.
Okay, you can do whatever you want, but as long as you're not employed, you will never be out of poverty. And education is the best way out. When other things absorb their world in terms of homelessness, in terms of poverty, we are the force, and our case managers here are the force that work with them to keep their eyes on the prize of educational success. We value that with them. We work through that with them. We provide any services they need. We get them to any services they need in order to achieve economic success, and academic success, which is not necessarily their priority at the time. But we know that it is important for their future, and so we work with them.
So looking at education as such an important part of what you do at the Urban League, and then you have kids, especially when you're talking homeless, that are in their, I guess, have hit rock bottom in certain aspects. How does your organization help them in that process to mentor them to find that training and education so that they can get out of poverty?
We actually work with all of the school districts in Westchester County. One of the things we see is that it's actually hard to navigate the system even if you're not homeless. So it's that much more of a problem when you are homeless. What we provide for them is the assistance for their parents and for the schools to talk together to make sure that if there's something missing, something that is needed, that it's provided, because not necessarily the families will on their own go for it, and the school may not offer it, even though it's available to them. So we make sure that link is there. We also make sure that the children are registered for school within 48 hours of being known to us in the shelter. Wow. They are on a bus if they need to be on a bus, and they are in a school. And it's something that we pride on. We have a 48-hour turnaround on that. As long as we know the kids in that shelter, we get them in a school. And it's one of those things because the more days you lose from school, you can't learn. If you're not in school, you cannot learn.
No, you can't.
So,
So that's the first thing, is getting them into the school environment, and then from there, you definitely have to have some mentorship and some help keeping them attending school, getting their work done, especially in the shelter. What types of things are you able to do that way?
we provide advocacy. We provide tutors through some linkages and partnerships that we have, particularly with Westchester Community College out here, that go into the shelter. We work with them to make sure that happens as well. And any situation that comes up that we are aware of, we will sit in a meeting with the parents, with the school, with the service providers, with the psychologist if we have to, with whomever we have to make sure the need of the child is met.
And all that stuff is needed for every child. We all know that. And some parents are available in that way. And then that's where we go, when you talked about all those services that you provide for the homeless. But thinking about that there are parents, but poverty, if they can't do those things, if they're not able to maneuver themselves through the rigmarole of an everyday school system and the red tape that's involved in it, those kids fall behind as well. And I'm sure the Urban League is also involved in helping poor families as well, correct? Not just the homeless.
Yeah, we do. We actually have employment services for the Northern Westchester community who are on the roster of the Department of Social Services to help with employment. When something is known to us about the children of those families as well, we also link them and refer them to the services in the community that they need.
So that's tremendous. What other things do you do at the Urban League? Kind of give us some more of your duties and also some of the projects coming up at the end of the interview for sure.
Well, I'll tell you that yesterday was a big day for us here at the Urban League of Westchester. Yesterday we kicked off our Rebuilding Trust Initiative, which is an initiative to build relationships between the community and police departments, trusting relationships. And that was one of those awe-inspiring moments that we had, where we brought together police representatives from some of our larger communities and leadership from around the country, learned people from around the country, so that they could share knowledge and share information and begin to talk to each other instead of about each other. We are a group of people who like to talk about things but never really talk to each other.
Exactly.
And we were able to facilitate that dialogue with just an amazing, amazing group of people yesterday. And I think that's going to be where our biggest initiative as we move forward will be, because the last thing we need is rioting on our streets. And if we start talking before something else goes wrong, because things have gone wrong.
Yes, especially lately in the system, what's happening. Exactly. You want to make sure that the police is getting along with the organizations. Everyone together is working as a unit for sure.
And we've, as I said, the strength is in coalition. And we have about 30 organizations that we've been working with to design the forum, to design the initiative, and to move forward. So we are definitely building our coalition, building our faith-based coalition, building our sororities, fraternities, our civil liberties union, everyone in the community. We've brought in segments from all over the place to work with us. And they are committed to working forward, and so are some of the police departments that we're working with. And we need a starting point, and I'm grateful for it.
So, Sarai, your hope is that nothing like what happened in Missouri ever happens in Westchester. So you're preparing yourself, and you know that it can, especially with the build-up and to get the police department, as you said, a coalition together, knowing that they're all in it for the community, and that the community has this great relationship that's will always have dialogue. Then we won't have a situation like in Missouri. Hopefully.
Well, hopefully we won't. It is as easy as a match on dry grass to have what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, happen anywhere in this country. It really is. And in order to preempt, not necessarily, because you'll always have something. There's always the potential for a police officer, a corrupt police officer, a bad police officer, a poorly trained police officer to have an incident. What you need to preempt is this rioting on the streets. What you need to be able to prevent is that. And as we work towards that, hopefully train officers, hopefully get that relationship going, hopefully know the rules and regs, maybe even get body cameras on everybody. That would be good.
All that's so important so that we know that everyone's safe, not just, we have to protect our police department, but we also have to protect the community, because there's good police officers and bad police officers, like there's good teachers and bad teachers, just like there's good lawyers and bad doctors and good doctors. So we have to be able to protect society in general in so many ways. Tell me any major other projects are going on right now with the Urban League that you would like to discuss.
Well, right now we're also providing employment services. I think most people, the economy has recovered for most, not quite as well for the communities of color.
Right.
And we are providing training and employment services for our at-need and at-risk communities in Westchester. That is our largest program that we do. We have partnerships with employers in the region. We have partnerships with our Department of Social Services, which is a big partner for us, and with our Workforce Development Board. And through all of those partnerships, we are able to help train, and also to help folks get jobs and get out of poverty. And that is our largest service provision that we do in the community. We also actually run, because it's very close to my heart and I can't get away from it, we run the only syringe exchange program in Westchester County right now.
A lot of big things happening. With about a minute to go, Soraya, talking to young people today, especially when you're talking about how you're mentoring one of your employees and stuff, to aspire to help organizations like yourself, what can you tell young people today that they can see that maybe this is something they'd love to do someday, is CEO for someone like the Urban League or an organization that does such great things in the community? What would you say? What advice would you offer?
This is the best place to work. The Urban League movement is historic, with over 100-year history. When you get paid to do something to make a difference, it is an amazing thing. This is the best work you can possibly have. It is important to give back. What happens to others can happen to you. It is by the grace of God that you are not in the position of some of the people that we serve. And I would say, don't live in that smartphone and on the internet. Come out and live in the community.
Yes.
And come out and meet the people, because I brought my son out yesterday to my farm. Come out and meet the people that we are going to serve, live, and work with.
Well, fantastic. What's the best place we can find information on you, Soraya? Your Urban League website and anything else to follow you?
Well, to follow me, I'm not on Twitter that well, but at this point in time, the NUL site would be the best site, because NUL.org, because my website's down.
Well, awesome. Good talking to you. Best of luck, and let me know when you have some education initiatives. Love to have you back on the show, okay?
Thank you, Neil. Take care.
I take care. What a great show, the Neil Haley Show. Things that Soraya is able to do is amazing. Her knowledge is tremendous, and she's helping such a great organization. And we have to look at our lives shouldn't be all about money. It should be about service and helping the community so that we can continue to survive in so many ways. So have a great week. We'll talk next week on the Neil Haley Show. My website again, totaltutor.net. Take care, everyone.